Hello, my name is Jing, and I'm a severe traumatic brain injury survivor working on my 90-day commitment to reflecting on my past years of survival as I approach my 10-year in July. I realized that I wrote out this schedule for myself that I would follow just to help guide some of these reflections. And oops, I kind of went off schedule, meaning that I was going to go through every the quarters, the best thing, and then the lesson that I learned, which is only 8 days. But then I forgot to bookend the transitions to the year. So since it's day 12 and technically on year 10, I was supposed to do a summary, I think, of my survival. See, I probably should have wrote out the whole thing, and then I would have been yeah, because I jumped right into quarter two on day 10, and I should have done my summary apparently of year one. So I will backtrack and I'll do my year one summary. But basically, I was reflecting on my year one summary today, and I think in some ways it's a little bit biased because I was just on the phone with my family members, and I actually ironically reflected on the challenges as I was entering into year two about the dynamic with my family. And I don't think I really addressed that so much, but basically I alluded to in some of my past reflections, and I'm guessing because I'm actually not watching any of these backwards, about just how confusing it was. And I'm just looking at the cliff notes here about, how I'm learning about my abilities and my disabilities in the first year. But another thing that I don't emphasize, I guess, in the challenges part is the relationships. I do talk about discovering emotions and how hard that is for me, but a lot of my disabilities actually feed into how challenging it is for me to have interpersonal relationships with other people. And because at the time I still don't understand loneliness, I guess, oops, I'm prefacing for the future, but I was supposed to kind of, preview for year two. But year two ends up being one of the most difficult years of my life because of the relationship piece. And I really do want to emphasize how social well-being. There's a lot of science right now that demonstrates how critical the social part of our well-being is to our happiness and the direction of our lives, right? Like if you have an amazing family situation, if you have a spouse that's really healthy, wow, joking, healthy and productive or protective of your well-being, you're more likely to be healthy and have those sentiments. But if you choose a partner and your partner is constantly draining you or displaying negative behaviors, that can really play a huge role in the detriment to your health and just your overall well-being. So today I was reminded that in a very unfortunately very cruel way, and that's something I've just been processing right now, just abuse, like how a lot of abuse actually happens within families or between people who know each other well. And it makes you feel uncomfortable to call out this family member, but basically it's, abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter if I'm your sibling or if I'm okay, fine, whatever. It doesn't matter like who you are relative to another person. It's just that, if you are behaving in a way that is harmful, and I think it really speaks to a bigger issue in society about just like emotional stability and emotional regulation. And I don't say it to sound, prescriptive or over smart or something like that, but I realize it's not my job if I'm in a relationship, like even a familial relationship with another person who has abusive tendencies, for me to be walking on eggshells and be like, well, you wouldn't be abused if you XYZ this. And it's like, no, you really should just work harder to be a person who doesn't use other people as your emotional punching bags. You should not be using other people, as something negative. Um, and if you are, then learn how to apologize and don't double down and hold like a deep resentment for it. So I think, in real time, even 10 years later, it took a lot of time to do the work that I guess emotionally to get to where I am today. But at year one, it's just the beginning. It is so hard. I honestly probably, if you did a scan of my heart, you could probably just see, like tears in it from the level of stress that it takes to, I guess, build the kind of mental fortitude to be able to live with the conditions that I have. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. It's just reality. I mean, you're living with multiple memories, trauma is built into you, you experience a lot of pain, and you feel extremely lonely. And so I think that's something that's really going to start emerging um, in my second and third year, is feeling misunderstood and being lonely, and just learning about like, what is this? Like, what is this weird, non-visible thing that is causing me harm? Um, so the encouraging part, or the empowering part, I guess, of this piece, now knowing about the future, is that it is possible, even though the journey is hard and you will probably experience a lot of hurt and harm in the healing journey. Um, Hopefully, because you are attempting to learn and develop ways to be more peaceful and happy and just bring joy to other people's lives. You're not always going to 100% of the time. It's just, life is very complicated. We haven't gotten to that part yet. Remember, in year one, I only was like good, bad, selfish, selfless, and that was how I organized people. It gets more complicated as the years go on. Um, but I do appreciate now, even in today's real day context, because I understand how minds are molded, how important it is to take action um, when opportunities happen. Like time, I don't think people think about time enough. It never comes back. And it can either be to your detriment or to your benefit to wait. So you really have to have that skill set to think about it. But I don't want to overwhelm anyone who may be a brain injury person here. I know I keep talking about how complicated it is. I just am validating that fact. But I also want to emphasize how it's possible. It can happen at a different rate for everyone. Life is full of trade-offs. So your trade-off in the beginning is you just don't get to do a lot. It's a bummer, but we have a chronic condition that's really hard. And if you don't design yourself well, I don't know how to put it, you might not make it. So you can, though, and you will. And okay, this random image in the back is just an image I enjoy. I'm obsessed with making steamed egg. I alluded to in year one that I was starting to learn about smell through food, and I love soups, and I love this texture. I love this like kind of like silky, smooth version of egg. And if people want a recipe, I'm more than happy to share it in a different way. But today, just in general, in real time, I'm feeling crummy. But if anything is encouraging, it's because I've experienced so much hardship that you actually do become good at being resilient. You do end up becoming good at moving on. An advantage to having a memory disorder is that you can move on from things faster, right? Because you know it's possible to forget your whole life. So now that you live it, it's your choice, the parts you want to remember. It doesn't mean forget all the bad things. You take the bad things in, you just factor it in as like facts. But remember that emotions are transient, they don't last forever. And you can just move on and hold the good ones close, because that's more for you. You can, and even though in the future maybe you may not be able to have them with the same person or in the same circumstance, just enjoy those memories for what they were at the time when they were positive. So hopefully that inspires you to go out and do something you enjoy. Maybe if it's something small, like making a dish that you enjoy, discovering a new flavor, reaching out to a friend who has really done a lot for you. I encourage that. Well, my voice even wavers. Well, I want to get going just because I'm actually super late for something I was invited to because I was dealing with family stuff. But I guess if I had one thing to say is there's so much negativity and anger being directed towards me. My brother resents me. I'll just say it's straight up. It's tough for me because yeah, we'll get to that some other time in the future, but it's one of the most complicated relationships I have, and I'm so sad for it. But from my perspective, I know what I want to contribute to this life. And even though I was hurt so bad, and technically what you did was very like, it was abuse. Abuse is what it is. I forgive you. And I hope you forgive yourself and move on. Like, use some of these same strategies and these learnings, maybe. I don't want you to get trapped. I don't want you to be held back. And I say that as someone who's not a brain injury person, but literally, like, for brain injury people, we have a condition where your past will haunt you. You have no choice but to be traumatized. So don't let the trauma be the part that takes you over. Like, I guess, fight for yourself, fight for your life. And I know this keeps going, but basically, your worst enemy isn't other people, sadly. Your worst enemy is yourself. But just remember that, like, don't let the harms of the outside world get into you, like, make yourself stronger. And then when you become strong and capable enough, maybe if you hope to, you can tackle some of the outside world's problems. So, all right. Next time, I'll also try to catch up by prefacing year 2. Thanks.